What is actually ketone body? Ketone body is the one of the chemical substance which are water soluble and energy yielding that our body make when there is not enough of insulin in our blood. Normally, our body will burn glucose or sugar for us to get energy. But if cells in our body do not get enough of glucose, our body will break down the fat to get energy. This process will produce ketone which can show up in our blood or urine. The primary location for ketone body synthesis is in our liver hepatocytes. There are three types of ketone body that will produce, which are acetoacetate, acetone, which can be excreted through breath, and beta-hydroxybutyrate. Have you wondered why this substance form? Ketone body synthesis can occur in response to an unavailability of blood glucose, such as during overnight dieting or fasting. It also acts as alternative fuel for the body that are made when glucose in short supply. As stated earlier, it is made in the liver from the breakdown of fats. The production of ketone bodies is then initiated to make available energy that is stored as fatty acid when there is not enough sugar or glucose to supply their energy to body. When glucose levels are higher in the body, it is busy storing the excess as fats, build protein, and in general growing. This state is called as absorptive state. When you are fasting or being starved, the glucose level in your blood will quickly decrease. This will trigger the body to enter the post-absorptive state. In this state, our body will start to convert back the fat to the fatty acid, glycogen into glucose, and even starts to breaking down the amino acids for energy. Significance of ketone bodies. The first one, alternate source to glucose for energy needs. Ketone bodies represent an alternative to glucose for the provision of energy to the cell. Next, production of ketone bodies under conditions of cellular energy deprivation. Ketone bodies are produced when excessive fatty acids are being oxidized and glucose availability to the cell is limited. Excessive fatty acids that are being oxidized is due to increase of adipose tissue in lipolysis. This situation can be seen in conditions such as diabetes mellitus and starvation. The last one, utilization of ketone bodies by the brain. Brain normally utilizes glucose for energy needs. Although ketone bodies cannot completely replace glucose for energy needs in the brain can get adapted to oxidize ketone bodies during prolonged fasting and starvation. So, how it is formed? The first step is when the enzymatic condensation of two molecules of acetyl-CoA that will catalyze by thiolase to form acetoacetyl-CoA. This is simply the reversal of the last step of beta oxidation. The second step, the acetoacetyl-CoA then condenses with acetyl-CoA to form HMG-CoA, which is cleaved to free acetoacetate and acetyl-CoA. HMG-CoA synthase are used as a catalyst in this reaction, which can regulate the synthesis of ketone bodies. Third step of the ketone body synthesis. An acetyl-CoA is split off from HMG-CoA, yielding acetoacetate, a 4-carbon ketone body that is somewhat unstable chemically. It will decarboxylate spontaneously to some extent to yield acetone. Ketone bodies are made when the blood levels of the glucose fall very low. Ketone bodies can be converted to acetyl-CoA, which can be used for ATP synthesis via the citric acid cycle. People who are very hypoglycemic, including some diabetics, will produce ketone bodies, and these are often first detected by the smell of acetone on their breath. Acetone is of virtually no use for energy production since it is not readily converted to acetyl-CoA. Consequently, cells convert acetoacetate into beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is more chemically stable. However, beta-hydroxybutyrate is frequently referred to as a ketone bodies. Upon arrival at a target cell, it can be oxidized back to acetoacetate with conversion to acetyl-CoA. Both acetoacetate and beta-hydroxybutyrate can cross the blood-brain barrier and provide important energy for the brain when glucose is limited. This figure shows the summary of formation of ketone bodies. The three ketone bodies, which are acetoacetate, acetone, and beta-hydroxybutyrate, are marked within an orange box. In healthy people, acetone is formed in very small amounts from acetoacetate by the loss of carboxyl because untreated diabetes. This patient will produce large quantities of acetoacetate in their blood, which can contain a significant amount of acetone, which is toxic. Acetone is volatile and imparts a characteristic odor to the breath, which is sometimes useful in diagnosing the severity of the disease.
Next, we move on to the disease regarding ketone bodies. The first one is ketonuria. It happens when you have high ketone levels in your urine. This condition is also called ketoaciduria and acetonuria. Your body makes ketone when fats and proteins are burned for energy. This is a normal process. However, it can go into overdrive due to some health conditions and other reasons. There are two causes of ketonuria. The first one is ketogenic diet. It is high in fat and low in proteins and carbohydrate diets. It mimics the starvation and raises the levels of ketone bodies in the blood. In this case, ketonuria is a sign that your body has entered the state of ketosis and burns fat for energy. It is a normal process and it happens to people who are following a low-carb diet, keto, or are fasting. The next one is low insulin level. If you have type 1 diabetes or produce very little of your own insulin, then your body will start to produce more ketones if it has too little insulin for a significant period of time. When this happens, the body, not having the sufficient insulin to get energy into the body cells, break down body tissues into ketones, which can be used as a fuel without the need for insulin. The next one is the symptoms of ketonuria. The first one is nausea and vomiting and also fruity smelling breath. Next is ketoacidosis. It is a serious complication of type 1 diabetes but less commonly happen in type 2 diabetes. It happens when your blood sugar is very high and acidic substances, which is ketones, build up to dangerous levels in your body. And the symptoms of ketoacidosis are dry mouth and skin and also abdominal pain. The next one is ketotic hypoglycemia. It is a condition occurring in young children and usually as a consequence of limitation of carbohydrate intake. It typically occurs during periods of intercurrent illness when food intake is limited and the blood alanine level is low during ketotic hypoglycemia. The symptoms of ketotic hypoglycemia are dehydrated and also lethargic. Next, we move on to the level of ketones. 1.6 to 3 millimole per liter is considered a very dangerous level of ketone. It is a high level of ketones and could present a risk of ketoacidosis. The level of good ketones that is acceptable is less than 0.6 millimole per liter. And how to bring down ketone levels when your ketone levels are very high. First one is you have to drink water to flush them out of the body and don't exercise if you have high blood sugar and high ketones. Test your blood sugar every 3 to 4 hours to ensure adequate insulin, and lastly, avoid starvation and eat balanced meal even though you are on a diet. In conclusion, in small amounts of ketone levels in the bodies, they indicate that the body is breaking down fat. However, high levels of ketones can poison the body. So, by drinking more water supports the kidney role of filtering out any unnecessary toxin that may be lingering. And here is our references that we use. And lastly, thank you for watching.